In 1982, Britain assembled a task force that would be impossible to replicate today: 2 aircraft carriers, 8 destroyers, 15 frigates, 6 submarines, more than 40 combat aircraft and over 100 helicopters. It sailed 8,000 miles and took back a British territory by force inside 10 weeks. That capability, the ability to project serious military power to the far end of the world, was not preserved after the war. It was gradually dismantled across 4 decades of defence cuts, political neglect and strategic drift. And the question of whether Britain could defend the Falklands today is not really a question at all. It is a calculation. And the numbers are not comfortable reading. Start with what Britain currently has in place. RAF Mount Pleasant, built after the war specifically to prevent another Argentine surprise, sits 35 miles from Port Stanley and operates a permanent flight of 4 Eurofighter Typhoons. These are genuinely capable aircraft, modern, fast and equipped with beyond visual range missiles that would give any approaching force serious problems. The airfield is protected by Sky Raider surface-to-air missile batteries operated by the Royal Artillery. The ground garrison runs to roughly 1,500 personnel, including an infantry company, Royal Engineers, logistics troops, and the locally recruited Falkland Islands Defence Force. On paper, the islands are defended. The question is whether that defence holds against what Argentina could bring to bear today, and, more critically, whether Britain could reinforce it if it didn't. Argentina's military was hollowed out after 1982, crippled by economic collapse and the disgrace of defeat. For decades, the threat was theoretical. That calculation is shifting. The Argentine Air Force has acquired 6 F-16 multi-role fighters, second-hand from Denmark, with a further 12 on order. Older technology than the Typhoon, certainly, but not helpless. More significantly, the United States has agreed to sell Argentina 2 KC-135 tanker aircraft to supplement existing refueling capability. That matters because tanker support transforms what a fighter force can do. It extends loitering time, increases effective range, and allows the kind of sustained pressure on a fixed target that 4 Typhoons defending a single airfield would find extremely difficult to absorb across multiple hours of coordinated attack. The runway at Mount Pleasant is the single most important piece of infrastructure on the islands. If it's cratered or its defences are overwhelmed, the air advantage evaporates with it. At sea, the situation is starker still. Argentina operates 3 destroyers and 6 corvettes, with negotiations underway for new submarines and amphibious warfare vessels. Britain currently has 2 lightly armed offshore patrol vessels in the region. HMS Medway carries a single 30mm cannon and no missiles whatsoever. The ice patrol ship HMS Protector is armed with machine guns. Neither vessel would survive contact with Argentine surface combatants. Argentine naval supremacy around the islands is not a future concern. It exists right now. The critical test is what Britain could do about it. In 1982, the answer was a task force of historic scale. In 2026, assembling anything comparable would require Britain to commit virtually its entire deployable naval force to a single operation at the far end of the world. Britain currently operates 6 destroyers and 5 frigates, several of which spend extended periods in refit. 2 aircraft carriers exist, but their mechanical reliability has been a persistent and publicly documented problem. Sending one carrier 8,000 miles on a combat deployment and expecting it to arrive operational is not a certainty anyone in the Ministry of Defence should be comfortable with. Without the carrier, there is no fixed-wing air cover for any task force. And without air cover, a naval force operating in contested waters off the Falklands would be in serious danger. The submarine situation compounds everything. Britain's hunter-killer submarines are the asset that would otherwise offset Argentine surface superiority, providing the kind of covert deterrence that famously destroyed the General Belgrano in 1982 and kept the Argentine fleet largely in port for the remainder of that war. Today, all of Britain's attack submarines are currently undergoing maintenance. Argentina has no functioning submarines either, but that parity at 0 is not reassuring when Britain's surface fleet is as thin as it is, and the amphibious capability needed to actually land troops in a retaking operation has been further degraded by the withdrawal from service of both dedicated amphibious assault ships, leaving only 3 Bay-class landing ships from the Royal Fleet Auxiliary to carry that burden. None of this means an Argentine invasion is imminent or inevitable. The Typhoons at Mount Pleasant remain a serious deterrent, and any Argentine commander would need to neutralize them before a landing force could operate safely. That is a difficult problem with 6 F-16s. It becomes a different calculation with 18, supported by tankers, potentially covered by new submarines, and backed by a rebuilt amphibious capability. Argentina is not there yet. The trajectory of its rearmament program suggests it is trying to get there. The honest answer to whether Britain could defend the Falklands today is conditional. The island's current garrison could hold against an initial assault long enough to make an attack costly. Whether Britain could then do what it did in 1982, mount a credible response from 8,000 miles away, depends on assets it currently does not reliably possess. The warning signs are visible, documented, and largely ignored. The Falklands were taken once because a government in Buenos Aires calculated that Britain would not respond. The concern is not that Argentina will make that same miscalculation. The concern is that one day the calculation might be correct.